Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode where we at 679. Happy Monday, back to work, back to the grind. It's Monday morning quarterback edition. The Bears still suck. Monday edition of Hobby Evolution. We've got a full house. Randy, good morning. First one. Jenny, good morning. Terry, what's up? David, Johnny Boy Cards, good morning. I've got an itch in my nose and I'm about to sneeze. So, I apologize for the sniffling. So it is Monday. Happy Monday. Zach and Porter in the house. Good morning. I did not I do feel I feel in a little better place this morning than where I was at yesterday as far as just juggling many things. There's an itch in my nose. I apologize. Cooter, what's up? Good morning. Stuffy. I know. I don't know. I think it's got to be this weather change. It's been cold and warm. It was humid and in the 80s yesterday after coming off some cool days. It's probably chill. I think it's 60 right now. So let's see. Jenny says, I hope all our Puerto Rico listeners are staying safe in the hurricane. Yeah, I think it's Fiona. That's tropical storm. Is it a hurricane? Tropical storm or hurricane? It's been a pretty quiet. That's the good part. If there's any good to take away, it's been a slow hurricane season. So I don't feel as crazed this morning as I did yesterday morning because I'm juggling tax. My fiscal year ends. Can you believe it's coming up on 1 year of full time selling cards? October 15th is like my business began October 1st, but I wasn't full time until October 15th. So I'm getting all of my receipts and all of that crap. So that's taken like the last 3 days. And I'm finally, I just have to print off some statements and then that's about it. And then I can hand over all of my paperwork to the accountant and hopefully it's all there and we'll see. So that was accomplished yesterday afternoon. Thank you to my wife who is like the financial genius of the household. So she helps me with the spreadsheets and all of that. So was able to tackle that. I felt much better getting that out of the way, doing some prep for next month's Midwest premiere, the October 15th and 16th 2-day show in Loves Park, Illinois at the Indoor Sports Center. 250 tables. Again, that's October 15th and 16th, Loves Park, which is just outside of Rockford, about an hour west of O'Hare, right on I-90. I'm going to have to step away to blow my nose in just a second. Madison Card Show is this Saturday, September 24th at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive, 125 tables. This Saturday, September 24th. I'm going to step away because my damn nose keeps running. Should have just did this earlier. So there. Now I'll just have to remember to mute if I have to blow my nose again. Okay, so where are we at? Terry says, smash the like button. Thanks, Terry. Dan says, hi, all. Bears lose to the Packers. What a surprise. I know. I go into every game thinking, this is the game. This is the game that the Bears turn the tide. Nope. Same old Bears. The only downside of watching Sunday Night Football with the kids is trying to wake them up on Monday morning. Cooter says, 1 year in, what would you go back and tell Bo of a year ago to do differently? You know, I think I'm a believer that everything you learn as you go. I don't think there's really anything I would do differently going back because uh I think I handle and here's why. I had prepared myself for about a year and a half before I went in. So I had a good idea of what to do, what not to do when I went full time. There's nothing that I did that I look back in the past year and say, "Oh, damn, that was a dumb move. I shouldn't do that." In the last year. Um, as far as like from an efficiency standpoint, I learned right away the importance of a scanner to do volume, file exchange. Had I started using file exchange? I think I had already been using file exchange. Yeah, I was using file exchange, but I was doing it like one at a time. So fortunately, the things that helped me become more efficient all came fairly early on, and then as I scaled up, I was able to, scale up and handle it. It's not like I was listing 5,000 cards in a day and then oh crap, um I've got a bunch of shipping to do. So I don't think there's Stacks and Packs says no regrets, no regrets. Yeah, there's no. I don't think there's anything I would go back and say. Now, not saying there's some you swing and miss on things, but I think sometimes it's important to take those chances and fail. But I didn't make like I've made some boneheaded moves in the past couple years with buying buying at the wrong time or selling at the wrong time or whatever. But in the last year, I don't think I've made too many mistakes in that front. So there's really nothing I could go back and tell myself. Maybe do the math differently. I th- I think the one thing I think the one thing, if there was one thing, I would have prepared myself with my projections. I think I over projected um, because I was running my projections on 0.75% to 1% sell through rate, where I knew that wasn't going to be because I think, and I wrote it, I still have it written down from a year ago. Um, and actually, since we're talking about this, I have some like goals and like benchmarks that I wrote down on my whiteboard that are still on my whiteboard. So let's see. So but going back, I would have ran my projections at a much lower sell through rate than what I did. Because my sell through rate when I went full time was, I have it written down somewhere, 1.2%. So at 1.2%, and that was on 3,000 listings, and I knew that okay, once I scale up, I'm gonna be able to list a lot more. That 1.2% is not going to be sustainable as you like continue to list and list and list. Uh, but I maybe I should have ran it at 0.5%, and I think I did run some projections where it was 0.5%, and that's probably where it averaged most throughout the year was 0.5 to 0.6% in that range. And then here recently, it's been around 0.4% because I'm using Card Dealer Pro and I'm listing so much faster. So I think if there was one thing, just to give you an answer, Cooter, I would have ran my projections and just not been so optimistic, I guess, on the 0.75 to 1%. Um, so I had some goals. Let's see. I was 1 year ago, I was averaging about 3,000 listings, and now I'm up to nearly 21,000. Um, my inventory turnover, my daily sell through rate was 1.2%. So 1.2% of those 3,000 listings were selling every day. My 90-day numbers, I was averaging 33 sales per day. I'm now at about 88 sales per day. I was hoping that number would be higher also. Let's see. So I wrote those down, and then I'm like, how do I get there? So and this was not like part of my, I think this is actually predates. No, I don't think it does predate. I think this is right around the same time. So I wrote some notes down. So you can have goals. Everybody can make a goal, but not everybody makes SMART goals. SMART. I am so smart. And it's like, well, okay, here's your goal. Well, how do you achieve that goal? So what I wrote down, what it takes to get to the goals that I had written down on my whiteboard. I wanted to 2x, and I think that, I don't know, because these numbers don't really match up with what I had planned out. But anyway, so I wanted to 2x. I was averaging 3,000 listings, so I wanted to 2x that at 6,000 listings. What it takes, I wanted to list 500 items per week in my eBay store by October 1st. So this does predate my going into business full time. So this was probably last August that I made these, before, probably right around the time of my decision to go in. So what it takes, 500 listings per week, which at that time, now I can do 500 in a day, no problem, easy. I can do that in a couple hours. But at that time, a year ago, a little over a year ago, that was a little more difficult. Organization, that should have been number one. Organization. At that time, a year ago, I wasn't as organized. And maybe that's another thing. Maybe I should have been more organized earlier than what I actually did, because early on I was still sorting into years and players. And so that was taking a lot of time. So maybe that was another thing that I would go back and, hey, do this, be a little more efficient on your organization. So that was achieved. Supplies on hand. Many times when I was not full-time, I would run out of labels, and there were, one time I had to go to like Office Depot or Office Max, whatever it's called, and buy thermal labels, and they're like 5 times the price in that store than what you can buy them on Amazon. But I had so many items to ship out, and I didn't have thermal labels on hand. So I felt it was more beneficial to just pay it probably wasn't 5x, but it was significantly more than what you pay on Amazon. So supplies on hand was key, and obviously now in business, that's something that I have on hand. So I guess there were, as I talk it out, Cooter, there were a couple things that I would go back. I would be smarter with the projections, and I would have been organized. I would have organized my inventory earlier than what I actually did. Ed, good morning. Card Hobbyist, good morning to you. Doesn't coffee taste better on a Monday morning? Maybe not. I probably, if I was actually going into an office, I would be like, man, this Monday coffee sucks. But the Friday coffee is good. Victor, what is up? Good morning. Card Hobbyist says, I had the same old Dolphins feeling yesterday after the Ravens had that big lead. I was pleasantly surprised at the outcome. How about that? That's probably the number one storyline on Monday morning from the Sunday games, the Dolphins. Let's go through the chat. Let's see. Dan says, my Amazon cart has tobacco sheets, coin sheets, a bed sheet set, and a pink Z Folio. Pink Z Folio. Interesting color choice, Dan. Jenny says, Bowman U boxes look smaller in quantity. Yes. Yeah. I can probably fix that. Let's pull some down. There we go. There we go. Now we got a full row. But I will say there are far less. There's only, I think I have 23. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. I only have 19 boxes because I opened about a half dozen over the weekend, maybe more. So yeah. So, and I'll probably rip some more next Saturday, and we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to buy another hobby box or hobby case or not, because there are so many other products that I want to rip, baseball products that I want to rip here in the next couple months. So I may hold off on buying more Bowman U. I think 75 blasters in a case of hobby boxes, I think that's a good stopping point. I did make quite a few more sales over the weekend. I did sell the Michael Penix Jr. auto. I think it sold for $26. Sold some JJ McCarthy's on Saturday because he's the Michigan starting quarterback, and the other guy, McNamara, was hurt, so it's JJ. I sold a purple and I think a pink of McCarthy. Will Levis, I sold a few Will Levis. He had a good game. He's a NFL prospect for the Kentucky Wildcats. What else did I move? I actually this morning I sold a base common of Kenny Pickett. I guess it's not a base common; it's just a paper base card of one of Kenny Pickett cards. Haven't had any legit bites on the Kenny Pickett hits. I've had one offer on the lava refractor, and it was below what I'm looking to take. I'm just gonna let those ride out. And we'll see. So yeah, Bowman, you sold pretty well through the weekend. So very happy with that. Dan says, remember that big collection you and your buddy almost bought? If you viewed the collection today, would your offer have been substantially different? I don't think so. No. Dan, it's funny you say that because I was just thinking about that collection the other day. And the reason why is because when John was the guy that I was him and I decided to put an offer together and split it. Had our offer been accepted, we went over there. We'd gone there individually to look at the collection. So this was a collection that somebody had reached out to me back in like January or February of this year. One of the parents had passed away, had a great collection, but it was a lot of like $20 to $50 cards. And it was, retail, it was, several thousand, probably $25,000 if you broke it up, but you had to break it up and sell a lot of $20 cards. So we put an offer of $7,500, which was right in the ballpark of the other offers they were receiving. It might have been the best offer they got, actually. But it was a family, and it just wasn't the couple that we talked with. It was, some siblings were also involved. And I just think that there were some other decision makers that thought they could get more out of it. And I told them up front and throughout the process that you're going to make a lot more money if you sell this individually. But they didn't want it. And I don't blame them. Like, you don't want to spend the time. Like, we just want to get rid of it. And they understand the business of it. Like, we can't just, they're not going to sell to. It was a collection that they wouldn't sell to like a collector. It wasn't like an awesome one player collection. It was like a lot of everything. And there was a lot of junk wax as well. Actually, not too much junk wax, but a significant amount. But it was a great collection. Now I probably would go back and if I did it, if I went back today, because at the time I think I had been to Arizona. I had a lot of I had been spending a lot during that time period. And I going back and I probably said this on video at the time, had it been August of last year, I would have, probably offered even more and it would have been worth more in August of last year, like most cards were. And I wouldn't have gone halvesies. I would have, put the offer in, and I might have offered, I probably would have been more aggressive. I would have been more aggressive at the time. By the time we put the offer in was probably in April. And it was one of those things, we're going halvesies. We're going to have to spend a lot of time to divide this collection up and make sure each of us get the proper value from it, which that was like going to be a headache. And then it was going into summer, and it's like, I don't want to do that in the summer months. So we put the offer in, and that was like, I wasn't going to go $1 higher. Like, it just wasn't something that I wanted to spend the time in. Now, today, I would probably, like, if they reached out to me today and said, "Hey, we'll take your offer," I would probably buy it, you know, on my own, and do it. But I wouldn't. I think my number is still the number that I'd be at. I wouldn't pay any more, and I don't think I would offer any less, because I don't think the market on most of those cards has changed since April. So yeah. So the reason I was thinking about that here over the weekend was because John and I had gone over there in April, and we spent a couple hours basically doing a quick inventory of what was there, just so we had an idea. Okay, is the number we're presenting too low, too high, or just right? And it was just right. So I had wrote down like basically a top 100 of the top 100 cards roughly that were in this collection. And I had it in a legal pad, which was in my like box of paperwork for my business. And I just like saw it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go through and look at this. And it's like, you know what, this would have been a lot of fun, like on my own. Now it would have been fun for John and I to go through it, because we had planned to do like a live draft on StreamYard and do that. And I think that would have been fun for us and for viewers, just to see the collection and like who picks what. But it just didn't come to fruition. I'm not sure if they still, I haven't been in contact. I know John followed up because he asked me, he's like, hey, would you be cool if I reached out to them and see if they wanted to consign, because he does consignments. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, go ahead. But I think when he reached out to them, they were still like, well, we don't know what we're gonna do. So I'm not sure if they still have it, if they sold it, or what the situation is. But yeah, I don't think I wouldn't go back and change that number. I think if they came to me today, I would offer the same number. And I think right now I would be more comfortable going solo on it, as opposed to going halvesies and trying to split it up and spend all that time, because then you're spending a lot of time doing like comps. And I feel like, I wouldn't have to do that if it was just me. Like, I don't have to comp. Like, I've already comped it out, and I feel like this. But now when you're dividing it up, you have to make sure, okay, this is your wheelhouse, but now you have, okay, you're up to $1,000. I'm at 700. I need 300. It's just, I don't know how fast that process would have been. It wouldn't have been fast. It would have been pretty slow. Let's see. Stacks and Packs says, how many cards on average do you sell per day? My 90-day average is about 88 cards per day. Mark, good morning. DR says you passed on WWE Prism, which looks like a brilliant move looking back today. Yes. Going into WWE Prism, I said $1,000 per hobby box was a great deal, and I may buy a couple. Thank God I did not buy a couple, because now I think you can buy them for $250 a hobby box. So that was, in hindsight, a brilliant move to not buy WWE Prism. I bought 2 blaster boxes, and I shouldn't have bought those. I regret buying 2 blaster boxes of WWE Prism. $70 on 2 blaster boxes, and I bet I've sold $15 gross. 15, excuse me. $15, maybe 20. I think the most expensive card I pulled to sell was like $3, maybe $4 out of WWE Prism blasters. It was a bloodbath. So thank God, yes. Oh. Paige and Deanie Bean, good morning to you. Where are we at? Diego says the Bears don't suck. Yes, they do. Oh, Diego, the Bears suck so bad. Let's see. Paige and Deanie Bean says thermal labels. That sounds dangerous. Let's see. Mark says, I didn't miss football at all sitting at Fenway. Hey, I wouldn't either. If I was at Wrigley, I wouldn't. But I was in my basement, so you win. Dan says, what's the latest in the day you're comfortably feel drinking coffee? Well, now it's probably 11 a.m. Yesterday was probably the latest I've drank coffee in a long time. I don't know when. But back in the day, I mean, I used to drink coffee at 10 p.m. at night when I was a full-time student and I worked like 3 jobs because I had to be awake 20 hours a day. When I was traveling, and that was also the same time I was traveling with football and basketball teams at the college level, there was a time, and this is kind of a sad, like, everything worked out in the end. My friend didn't die, but it was a scary situation. We had gone. It was I think it was a preseason tournament, coaches versus cancer tournament, like one of those preseason like round robin type college basketball tournaments. And we were playing at who was the host? I think it was Evansville, the Purple Aces, Evansville University, Evansville, Indiana. It was Evansville or Dayton. I think it was Evansville. And who did we? Yale was in that tournament because we played them at the last day of the tournament. It was played off Evansville, and Evansville doesn't play like on campus. They played a hockey arena. But the last day, and I think there was a hockey game on that last day. So games were played at other venues. So we played Yale at Oakland City Community College or something in like rural Indiana. It was so bizarre. There was about 7 people in the stands. It was so bizarre. So anyway, the Coaches versus Cancer Classic. It's like a 3 or 4 day tournament, and the hotel we were staying at, I think it was a Hilton Garden Inn. The hotel had this amazing coffee bar, like in the lobby, and they had different flavored coffees. And Kyle, who was my roommate on the road, he was sports information. We would like drink coffee. So we would drink coffee like all day and all night because we would work like sleep in. I would sleep in. He had to go to like practice and stuff. Fortunately, I didn't go to, most times I didn't go to the walkthroughs or the practices. If there were like significant storylines or injuries, I would go, say somebody new is going to be in the starting lineup, I would go to see them work with the first team. But most of the time I skipped the walkthroughs in practice. So the coffee bar. So we would drink coffee all the time because we would, the games are usually at night. So, say we have a 7 o'clock tip, we're at the arena by 5:30, go to the game, broadcast the game. After the game, do the post-game stuff, tear down, hop on the bus. We go back to the hotel. Our dinner's catered. So we're eating dinner at like 10 p.m. And then like I'm doing stuff for the radio network. And so I'm cutting up audio, doing highlights, putting together a highlight montage, cutting up audio from the post-game interview, sending that to Kyle, who's next to me in the hotel lobby. So we would work until 1, 2 a.m. In the hotel lobby. And so we would drink coffee like all the time. In Evansville, we drank so much coffee, and I may still have the photos, like probably on Facebook. We drank so much coffee in Evansville that we had like in our hotel room, it was just coffee. Like coffee cups were everywhere. Well, Kyle ended up getting like AFib, and it was pretty scary. He missed a couple of our trip, at least one trip, but he got it fixed and he's good. But that was kind of a sign like, okay, I think we're drinking too much coffee. I don't think it slowed me down much, but it definitely slowed his coffee drinking down. So I try not to drink. I'll drink a pop for dinner sometimes, but usually it keeps me up. Usually it's the sugar that will keep me up. Like if I drink Pepsi, at night. That'll keep me up. But my wife drinks Diet Coke. So if I do Diet Coke at dinner, that doesn't really affect me because the caffeine wears off by the time I go to bed. But with Pepsi, it's the sugar that keeps me up. So I'm just rambling on all these questions today. So the latest I feel comfortable, it varies, but usually I don't drink coffee past 10 or 11 a.m. Dan says pink because I have all the other colors of folders. There, that makes sense. Cooter says, Bowman, do you think it is a hit, miss, or break-even play thus far? I think it's a hit. Because even the Bowman blasters at $20, while the hits are limited, the paper base still they're not moving as fast as what I thought they might. But the pinks, are selling for a few bucks. And then if you get a hit, like, I pull an auto one every 6 blasters or whatever, or a purple or a green. So I've had enough hits where it's a hit. The hobby box was a grand slam. That's part, and this is a subject I want to tackle. I'm not quite ready to go in depth with it, but I want to talk about how you can always make money ripping and flipping hobby boxes. Now, it's not as easy as just buying any product you want at any time. There's a lot of idiosyncrasies with it that I'll share in a future show. But it's a major hit. I'll at least double my money. And I bought about 75 blasters in a hobby case. So I have, I'll share the number because you can do it on your own. It's no secret. So let's see, 75 times, wrong number, 75 times 20 is, I spent about $1,500 in retail and another 14 on the case. So I've got almost $3,000 tied up in Bowman U football cards. The Kenny Pickett, the 3 Kenny Pickett's I pulled out of the hobby case, that should be 1,000 right there. I know I've sold probably at least 1,000 in other cards, and I still have a ton of cards, Bowman U hits that I have not even listed yet. So, and 19 unopened blaster boxes. So I think it's a hit. And it's not something that I expected to rip and flip and make money right away. This was the strategy I had all along, was I'm going to slow burn it, and I'm going to pounce like Michael Penix. If I would have listed the Michael Penix auto a week ago, let's see what those, I sold it for $26. I think it sold last night. And it's, again, it's not like it's the difference between $5 and $100. But every $10 bill counts. It was probably a $20 auto, $15-$20 auto. Let's see. Let's go back. So today's the 19th. So we got to go back prior to the 17th. So it looks like Michael Penix sold a lot over the weekend. So yeah. So on September 11th, one sold for $12.75. Mine sold for $26. On September 11th, one sold for $14. So they were selling for about $15, $10 to $15. You wait, have a big game, and double your money. Now, does that work every time with every player? No, but if you time it right, it's all about timing. The Kenny Pickett's I ended up listing, and I'm not going to, take any lowball offers because there's still a chance before any NFL products, which continue to be delayed. And so that's still one of the prime Kenny Pickett cards that you can pull. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. Let's see, where are we at? So Cooter, I will say it's a hit so far. Herman in the house. What is up, Herman? Jenny says, if we want to talk regrets, let's hit up the gal that bought the 2000 Wanderers in February, right? Diego says, coffee is the lifeblood that fuels the dreams of champions, yet I have no trophies. Herman says, Boomslang showed a binder yesterday that should be in Zach's hands. Very cool. Andrew, what's up? Good morning. Paige and Deanie Bean says, I got to hear, Bo, your quick take on the Chasing Cardboard 6 million. Oh man, that was so awesome. I did watch the follow-up, the second. That's like what dream that's my dream right there. My wife's nightmare. I would have to do what they did, get a couple storage units. But I think I talked about after I watched the second episode, I think my favorite part was watching Ty at like midnight sitting in a storage unit just digging through boxes, because I can relate to like going through a box, finding something and wanting to dig through the next box, and it's like, oh my god, it's so late at night, I need to go, but you just it's the thrill. So it was awesome. I when he talked in the first episode about, because they didn't reveal how much they paid for it until the second episode, and it's been out long enough where I feel like, I think when I first talked about it, it had just been released, so I didn't want to share any of the information. But now I think it's been out for a week now, so I'm comfortable not spoiling it for anybody. So when they talked about it, when Ty talked about it in the first episode about he couldn't believe his bid won, and neither could the seller. And so I'm like, okay, so in just buying a lot of collections in bulk lots, I kind of had an idea. And then when he put out the poll, I think his lowest number was like, was it under 10,000? And that was like the lowest number. And I'm like, easy. It was easy under 10,000. And I pegged it at between 8 and 9,000, which I think was exactly right in the, I think it was 8,700 maybe is what they paid for it, which is like take my money. Like, I wish I would have known about that auction, because I would have been I would have been in contention, because I would have put a bid in, probably in that ballpark as well. Let's see. Victor, the rookie card specialist, what is up? Good morning. 4th and inches from the goal. Let's go into a shotgun. Fortunately, I wasn't watching at that point in time. I'll talk Bears and how they still suck. Rex Grossman warming up on the sidelines. Hey, sexy. Hey, as much as people talk crap on Rex Grossman, he took the Bears to a Super Bowl. Sexy Rexy, Bears Super Bowl. They didn't win. But hey, Rex Grossman got the Bears to a Super Bowl. Let's see. Paige and Deanie Bean says Card House buy. Let's see. Reppin' Rajon Rondo, what is up? First time live. Love the show. Thank you so much. Let's see. Horrible game last night, but go Bears. Absolutely. Hey, I still love the Bears, but they do still suck also. They suck, but I still love them. Kind of like the Cubs. The Cubs absolutely suck, but I still love them. Let's see. Splitting a collection buy seems like a nightmare. The more I was blinded by like the video aspect and like streaming aspect of it. But then and especially after we submitted the offer, going back to the collection buy, going back, thinking about it, and as the more time went on, the more I hoped they wouldn't accept the offer, because yes, the more time went by, it's like, this seems like a nightmare. Now, I have done something in the past, but certainly not anywhere to this level. So I mentioned this was a $7,500, which seems crazy. I put an offer in for $7,500 for this somewhat small collection that fits on a few dining room tables, and Ty gets this 6 million card collection, basically a full house of cards for $1,000 more. So now as I compare, it's like, damn, I'm glad they didn't accept my offer. Let's see. So yeah, and I did, my buddy Dave and I split a antique shop. It was we bought out an antique booth several years, about a decade ago, and but we paid like $200 for a bunch of junk. But there was a lot of today it would have been worth a lot more than what it was worth 10 years ago, because there was a lot of unopened wax. Let's see. Zach and Porter says, John, how is the Queens event treating you? Diego says, I'm glad you bought the Prism. I bought some from you and saved. And there you go. I sold a couple probably base cards. Let's see. John says, I'm headed to Vegas today. I was raised in a hardcore Irish Republican household. The Queen doesn't move the needle. Let's see. Zach and Porter says, my dad was born in Ireland, so I smell what you were stepping in. Let's see. Rep and Rajon says, have you ever had your managed payments on eBay frozen? I've been selling a small bit for years, and this is the first time. It says up to 5 days and no explanation as to why. I don't know why that is happening. I've never had that happen, although I did here recently. eBay's been taking my bubble mailer postage straight out of my PayPal. Now, and I know they do that, like if your managed payments is at zero, my managed payments is never at zero. There's always, just based on my volume of sales, there's always, money in. And I'm trying to fix it. And it's like, at first it's like, this is annoying because now I have to handle this separately for my accounting purposes, because it's not coming out of, because eBay, I can just print out the report. But if it's coming out of my PayPal, now that's a separate, and we know how I hate separate platforms. Now I've got to notate, okay, I spent this much on postage out of PayPal, and make it all flow into the correct spot. But then I'm like, well, hey, I'll do it because it's coming out of my my credit card. My business card is linked up to my PayPal, so it's coming out of my business account. So I just can print that statement off, and I'm getting 1.5% cash back, which doing the volume is going to add up. It's like, hey, this is great. I'm getting 1.5% back, and I can just print my business card statement. Then I realize, no, none of that is happening. It's coming straight out of my PayPal balance, which I don't want, because now I have to, I guess I can print the report off PayPal, but I don't want to, but I'm going to have to. And I'm not getting any cash back rewards from my credit card. So I went in again yesterday, and hopefully I was able to figure it out and say, hey, stop this. Don't do this. So I think I have it now directly linked to my business card. So if it continues happening, it just all of a sudden one day started taking bubble mailer postage out of PayPal when I had plenty of money in the managed payments account. I don't know why it started doing that. Let's see. Jenny says, if Bo don't share the number, LRS. Well, where is the Low Roller Scratcher? He did put a new video up. I watched Low Roller. If you're in the house, I watched your video playing some, I don't know, was that video poker, slot machine? Let's see. Where are we at? Herman says, headed in for my yearly checkup. We'll have to catch the rest on replay. Have a good checkup. Let's see. John says the Wander meter currently showing conflicting data, either 264 or 262. I'm told most of that 6 million card collection was junk wax. Chris Sewell has the system with his partner down pat. Partner fronts the cash. Sewell does the selling, and they split 50-50 after the initial investment is recouped. How does that 1.5% back impact your taxes? Seems complicated. I don't know. That's what the accountant figures out. He's the tax guy, not me. So he handles all that. In fact, he tells me, he advises to put everything on a credit card to get that cash back. But maybe he does that because it does make it more complicated and he makes more money off of me. Maybe that's why. I'm going to make things the most complicated. So you need to call me every week and I get to charge you for that time. Bo from federal prison, but my accountant said, hey, I do what he tells me. He's the one that if he tells me don't do that, I don't do that. If he tells me do this, I do this. So that's how we handle it. Hey, even 6 million in junk wax, going back to that, even 6 million, what I saw, like, even though there was a lot of junk wax from what Ty was pulling, there was like for $8,000, $9,000, that was now, and I know there's travel involved and storage units get involved. But you can bulk that out. There was enough vintage in there. There was that would be fun. Now, speaking of junk wax, I'll just give you an update on my latest bulk, my Goodwill palette, which I think is somebody asked me on Twitter yesterday. I think this is number 7, which I picked up 2 weeks ago. It's the same one as 2 weeks ago. The WNBA is flying. This actually might be a good palette based on my WNBA sales. I'm putting WNBA autos and hits up, and they're moving. I think I sold. Man, let's go through my sold yesterday. I bet I sold almost $100 in WNBA cards yesterday. Because I sold a couple Becky Hammonds, Sue Bird. I sold a couple autographs. So those are moving, and I still have stacks of WNBA hits that are moving. So the rest of it is just absolute garbage, though. Like shoe boxes of like junk wax commons that are beat up, like the worst of the worst. But I still go through it just in case. I go through it because of the Cubs. I did sell 4 Bowman U base. I sold 4 Bowman U base overnight for $8. So that's another $8 to the kitty. Sold a pink for $250, Bijan Robinson, which whenever I see or hear Bijan Robinson, I'm going to think Bijan Mustardson because of his NIL. So I sold $30 worth of WNBA cards last night. Sue Bird, a Becky Hammond, and a Jennifer Azzi auto. And then I think I sold a couple others. So I guess it wasn't quite 100. I sold a Becky Hammond relic for $6. So that's what, 36. Where's Low Roller? He's really good at this. I sold Daryl Stingley green auto yesterday from Bowman U, a refractor of Skylar Thompson, the Penix auto. So yesterday was a good day. Saturday sucked for my eBay sales, but Sunday made up for it. Didn't quite make up for how bad Saturday was in relation to where I want to be. But it was back above where I want to be on a daily basis. David, what is up? Good morning. Didn't Ty pull a 2000 Bowman Chrome Brady from that 6 million card lot? He did. There was a lot of good stuff in there. John says the problem with that many cards is finding the needle in the haystack. There are gems in there. Putting in the time to find them is the struggle. Absolutely. And what it sounds like is kind of like my Goodwill. Like, I want to go through every card because I've had boxes where there's a $225 Giannis ticket stub in literally a garbage bag with junk wax cards. So I have to go through and like last night, I'm watching the Bears game. Bears suck, losing to the Packers again. I'm watching the game and going through just 90 Donruss, like not even stars. Like all the stars had been pulled. But even if they hadn't been pulled, they were probably dinged corners because these boxes I was going through were just a mess. And I think I'm going to have more of that. There's still multiple boxes in the back of my car that I have to go through. And I have a feeling it's going to be more junk wax. At least I think I'm through the shoe boxes that are like just in a mess, that are going to be all dinged up. But the boxes that are still in my car, I think they're at least in rows. So they're not going to have the damage that, if they're just literally thrown into a shoe box. Jenny wants to know, are you selling more football this weekend or baseball? Probably, from a percentage standpoint, probably football. I have way more baseball in my store, but I've sold a decent amount of football. Volume-wise, it's probably even, or maybe baseball's ahead, but from a percentage standpoint of I sold X amount of football compared to X amount of inventory, as opposed to baseball, I think from a percentage standpoint, football is definitely selling more than baseball. Jenny says Low Roller still updating Bo's sold spreadsheet. I had a good day, so he's busy. He's busy putting those numbers down. Andrew says, Bo, do you list cards that might have a minor scratch or faint line on it, or do you just move on to something else? Typically, and this sounds bad, but unless it's like Do I have anything near me? So, and like, I don't go through every card with a fine tooth comb. If it's a high end card, if it's Kenny Pickett green auto, I'm going to take pictures of a close up picture. If there's a scratch, I'm going to make sure it's shown. I'm going to take a picture of each corner. But if it's $1.50 card with a scratch on it, first off, I'm not looking for scratches on $1.50 cards. When people reach out to me, and this is common, people say, "Are there any scratches? Blah 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 blah. Is it in mint condition?" No, nothing is in mint condition. Because if you say it's in mint condition and they submit it or they get it, they're like, "Oh, this isn't gonna gem." It's like, well, it's a raw card. You're paying raw prices. You're not paying PSA 10 prices. So when people ask me, I say no. It's EX. That's just kind of my common ground. I can, EX is what, PSA 7, 6. It's probably in better condition, but I don't want to take the chance. I had some people in some of the adjectives. Is that I wasn't very good with English. Despite being being hired professionally as a writer at a newspaper. Like the usage of good, very good, excellent, near mint, mint is still subjective today. And I had somebody leave a neutral feedback. It was on a 1984 Topps Mike Singletary. I have like 150 of them in my store, and I just pull them. Now, when I first went through and I'm going to list 150 of them, I made sure, okay, they're not like terribly off center or there's no major creases or corner dings or anything like that. They're raw EX cards. They said the card was not in good condition. Well, yes, it was actually in better than good condition because good is like a beater, right? It was probably an EX. It wasn't, I don't know, but people are subjective. It's a neutral feedback. I'm not going to respond to it. There's, it is what it is. So, so that's kind of, yeah, I try to stay away from like, explaining, condition because it's so subjective. It's like, near mint to me is not near mint to the next person. And people use fair and good and EX and VG and near mint in different ways. So I just try to stay out of all that grading crap. Let's see. DR says, how is your ability to buy Goodwill pallets change your perspective or not on purchasing collections? I don't think it really has changed my perspective on collections. The Goodwill pallets is more of a crapshoot. It's essentially a gamble, right? But it's a good gamble because I know that I can bulk out and make a couple $100 on the commons, and there's probably going to be enough in there that I'll have a decent inventory of $1.50 cards in my eBay store, and then through 7 pallets, I've had enough to where the hits alone make up for it, and then everything else is gravy. So I haven't lost on any pallets, but I think I approach collections and bulk lots a little differently. But I don't think the Goodwill pallets have really changed anything in how I view other bulk buys. Jenny says, if it's a Trout rookie with an indent, he will list it, what he's trying to say, for an example. Yeah, and that's exactly like with the Mike Trout and with some of those cards, I'm going to go above and beyond. Like, I'm going to take every angle and I'm going to make sure it's in, and sometimes I put it in the title if there's room. I'm going to, put it in the description. There's going to be pictures because there, and that's what I don't get. What, sellers shouldn't be trying to take advantage and not disclose information, because once you buy it, eBay's 95% of the time going to side with the buyer. And so it's just more of a headache for a seller. Say the Mike Trout rookie that had the dent in it. And like, you couldn't see that dent. Like, you had to, like, it took the guy that was going to buy it first, looked at it, he's like, yeah, this looks really good. And he's like doing the light. He had to get like his loop or whatever and went through, and he gets halfway through the card. This card looks really good. And then all of a sudden, and that was where the dent. And then you could feel it. So if I didn't disclose that in, say it's sold for $600 and I ship it off and the buyer gets it, guess what? Oh, there's a dent. I don't want it. I'm going to return it. And so now I'm out time. I have to go through the process of relisting it. It's a pain in the ass for everybody. So like, I just don't believe in the fact that all sellers are trying to get one over on you if it's not disclosed. And I don't mean all sellers, like every seller, but I mean, if there's an issue with a card, like some minor scratch, like I assume every Chrome card has scratches on it. Like I just assume there's, especially here lately in the last 2 years, like every Bowman Chrome card I see has like print lines. But some people think that's not the case, and hey, I guess. So, but if it's a if it's a $2 card, I'm not going to disclose. I'm not going to go through and spend that time. But if it's a $600 card, yes, absolutely, I will spend that time. John says, I say card is pictured. If there is an obvious crease or defect, I list it. Otherwise, the buyer needs to use their own damn eyes. I agree with that 100%. David says, and I get that, I had a neutral feedback a couple months ago. And it was, card had like a corner ding. And it was on like you could clearly see it on the photo. And it was $1.50. Like, anyway. David says, I did not know there was 2 additional pickets pulled from your hobby case. Are all 3 currently listed in your eBay store? Yes, all 3. There's a lava refractor numbered to 100. And then there's 2 autos, a green auto numbered to 99 and a big kahuna auto numbered to 150. John says, we've raised a generation of collectors who expect PSA 10s in the raw form. You're exactly right. Jonathan Allen, what is up? Good morning. I still don't understand why people don't ask for a refund before leaving negative feedback. That is a big pet peeve of mine. What's really annoying, and I had this happen. I don't know if I talked about this previously, but this was about a month. It was John's favorite player, Wander Franco. It was, I don't even know what it was, but I couldn't find it. I misplaced it, which that happens. Fagan RM, Fagan RM is the username. 269 feedback. It was a Bowman Chrome Scouts Top 100. I couldn't find it, so a couple days had elapsed, and I messaged the buyer, Fagan RM, and I said, "Hey, I'm having trouble finding this. Sorry for the delay. I'll keep you posted. I'm still looking for it. Cannot find this anywhere." Couple more days go by. I send another message and I said, "Hey, I can't find this. I'm issuing a refund." I issued a refund. And then he leaves a feed, and he never responded to any of those messages nor the refund. And he sends a negative feedback, never sent card. I was refunded money without any communication from seller on issue with delivery. Guess what? I sent him a third message and said, "Hey, did you not see these previous 2 messages I sent?" Guess what? Fagan RM didn't respond to that one either. So I just had to reply to the feedback. So Fagan RM, Fagan RM, is an idiot. John says returning cards should only be in extreme circumstances and the last resort. I agree. Card Hobbyist says, I say all my cards are very good or better. I'm not a grader, but at the very least, they are very good. That's a great way to put it. I like that. Not sure why the only or better option is attached to near mint. Terry says, I put an obvious defects in the title in all capitals between brackets. That's a great way. If there's a crease, sometimes, especially with Goodwill, like I'll miss a crease until I like scan it. And I'm like, and then as I'm listing it, it's like, oh shoot, there's a crease. So I had a Rocket Ishmael classic card from 1991. As I scanned it, as I was getting ready to scan it, I noticed there's a big crease in it, like in the corner, like it had big crease. And I'm like, well, crap. So I'm like, it's going through the scanner. I'm just going to keep it on, and I'm just going to put crease, and I put it $1.50 free shipping, crease, same as what I would list a EX. Somebody bought it, and I put creased in all capitals in the title, in the description. You can see it in the photo, and somebody bought it. So awesome. I didn't think it would sell, but it still sold. Hopefully it's not one of those. I didn't see the crease. Hopefully it's not one of those. But yes, I like if there's a crease, and this is more like, typically I'm not going to do that with a modern card like a Ragab Ishmael. Usually I'm going to catch those things, but if it has happened more with the Goodwill pallets, because some of where I'm pulling these cards from, there's going to be some damage that I just don't see until I go into the scanning and listing phase. But a lot of vintage, like if I'm listing some 70s cards, 60s cards, there's obvious damage, and I'll put, crease. Usually crease is the only thing I'll put in. A lot of the older stuff, like it's just corner damage, corner dings are on most of those cards. John says, I'm going to petition for eBay to divide cards into two categories, naughty or nice. Hall of Famer Wander Franco, you mean? Andrew says, have you ever noticed more success in sales uploading a file exchange at a certain time of day versus another time of day? I have not, but I haven't really looked into it. Paige and Dini being Fagan RM, you dip. If your happiness is centered around a $1.50 card, then you may need to reevaluate this life thing, Fagan. That one actually, I think that was a $7 card or a $5 card. What's your favorite basketball team? The Wisconsin Badgers and the Western Illinois Leathernecks. I don't watch the NBA. I'm a Chicago guy, so I guess the Bulls. When I moved to Wisconsin, I tried to be a Milwaukee Bucks fan, but I just couldn't. Even when they got to the NBA, well, they won the championship a couple of years ago. Even then, I'm like, I'll watch the playoff. Like the regular season, I turn a game on. It's like, I don't like the NBA. It's like, when the Bucks are in the playoffs, I'll root for the Bucks. I have a Milwaukee Bucks hoodie. And then the playoffs start. It's like, oh, this is the first round. I'll watch the next round. And then the next round, I'm not into it. And then I'm like, I'll definitely watch the conference finals. And then they get into the conference finals. It's like, it's just not doing it for me. It's like, I'll definitely watch the NBA finals. Not doing it for me. So I've given up on the NBA. So I'm not a fan of any NBA team, but I root for the Chicago Bulls by default because they're in Chicago. Terry says, I've noticed that sometimes creases that you can see do not show in the scan. Zach and Porter says, Porter and I love cards with love. Sometimes the only way we could afford a rookie or something we'd want for the PC. Absolutely. Like when it comes to pre-war Cubs, like I want ones because that means I can buy more. If I buy a Joe Tinker SGC 5, the difference between a 1 to 5, I can buy a bunch of others and they're just as authentic. And I think I like the eye appeal of a well-loved tobacco card, as opposed to, I see, like, if I look at a showcase and I see like an SGC 8 T206 card, it looks fake to me. It looks like a reprint. But if I see a SGC 1 T206 card, it looks real. It looks like it's 100 years old or 115 years old. So I love those well-loved tobacco cards. The Bears suck. We're an hour and 4 minutes in. Thank God we didn't have to talk about the Bears. I talk smack to my former coworkers before the game. I'm being all cocky. This is Aaron Rodgers. This is history tonight, boys. Aaron Rodgers passing the torch. Justin Fields going to be the new quarterback of the North. The Bears, it's Bears time now. The Packers are done. And then Aaron Rodgers does what Aaron Rodgers does against the Chicago Bears. He owns them. He does. It's a fact. And the Bears still suck. I know Green Bay Packers fans, you love to say that. The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck. Damn it. But I still love them. Still love them. John needs everyone's help routing for the Eagles tonight. Route for the Eagles. So who is tonight? So Tua had a big game yesterday. We're going to talk about NFL games. We're over an hour in, so we don't have to talk about the NFL. George didn't watch because he didn't want to watch NFL, and we didn't even talk about the NFL. The Bears suck. They lost to the Packers. Aaron Rodgers owned them again. Tua, 6 touchdowns for Tua? What was that? Trey Lance out for the season for the 49ers. Mike Evans pushed Marshawn Lattimore, defending Tom Brady. Cowboys beat the Bengals. That's your NFL update. I wanted to see Tua's stats. Yeah, the Dolphins were down big time. Dolphins were down 28-7 at halftime, and they came back and won 42-38. Tua went 36 of 50, 469 yards and 6 touchdowns. Get those Tua rookies out. I think I have a Tua rookie that I'll have to go look for. So tonight we've got the opener, Titans and Bills. I sold quite a few Josh Allen cards over the weekend. So we've got Bills and Titans at 6:15, followed by the Vikings and Eagles. So we've got Jenny's team against John's team. 7:30 tonight, Eagles and Vikings. I'm going to have to root for the Eagles tonight because the Vikings are in the North. And so I've just got to root against the North teams that are not the Bears. So Eagles and Vikings, Bills, and who did I say? The Bills are playing somebody. Card Hobbyist says having Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill as your whiteouts is very helpful. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Programming note, later this week, we're going double live on Thursday. It's a 2 for Thursday. Don Caruso from Fujitsu will be on the show at 10 a.m. Central. So we'll do the regular Hobby Evolution at 7 a.m. Central on Thursday morning. And then at 10 a.m. Central Thursday morning, Don joins me on StreamYard. We're going to talk all things scanners. Not the scary movie where the guy's head blows up, but the things where you put baseball cards through and scan them, whether it be a feed scanner or an overhead scanner. We're going to talk Fujitsu scanners. I have 3 scanners from Fujitsu. The 7030, which I will be putting that was the OG that I began before I even knew Don. So the 7030 that I've used for almost a full year now. I'm going to put that for sale in my eBay store here probably later this week or next week. And then I have the ScanSnap overhead scanner. I don't use that as much because most of my scans are the feed scanner, scan and raws. So I'm gonna be that's the 8170, which I just got last week, which I freaking love. And I'm gonna do a video, and I know I promise this all the time. I'm gonna do a video. I need to just do a day, get caught up on everything. This week's not the week for that. Where I just do videos because I've got my cut. Remember my first submission to SGC 2 months ago that I was going to do a video reveal? Yeah, I'm still going to do that. I'm going to do my process on scanning and listing. I'm going to do that. So Thursday morning, 10 a.m., we will do it. It is on the schedule. Don Caruso from Fujitsu. He will be on live with me Thursday at 10 a.m. right here on this YouTube channel. And he'll take your questions about Fujitsu scanners. If you have questions, if you're having issues, I know a lot of people that are viewers of this program have Fujitsu scanners, and I know some people have had like print lines come up. There's a lot of questions. Does it damage cards? All of these questions can be answered. Don will tackle Thursday at 10 a.m. Central. So we'll talk Fujitsu scanners on Thursday. No show on Saturday because that's the Madison Card Show, September 24th. 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Free admission, 125 tables. That's this Saturday at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive, Madison, Wisconsin. Reppin' Rajon Rondo says I had put up my 52 Mantle PSA 1 and didn't notice until days later. The big crease didn't show up on any pictures. Crazy. I was so relieved no one had bought it. Would have been a nightmare. Looking forward to Scanner Talk. Absolutely. And Don's a collector just like us. Does a lot of TTM with his son, so that's cool. So we'll get an update on his collection too. So have a great day. Have a great Monday. Back at it tomorrow morning, and we'll see you then. And also hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel. See you tomorrow morning.